This is breaking news.
Right now, Governor Phil Murphy is highlighting statewide resiliency initiative.
Elected officials Doug Thompson and Bob Brenning, and for everybody here in this great community for welcoming us always so warmly. Deep thanks. And to you, to your very good points, Sean, and thank you for your leadership. What a difference in the level of activity here today versus a year ago today. I'm incredibly honored to be joined, in addition to the mayor and committeemen, by a cavalcade of great leaders. Congressman Tom Malinowski with us. Thank you, Tom. To his left. Shamelessly fishing for applause there, Tom. So I was to his left, and I want to acknowledge them as great partners. FEMA Region Administrator Dave Warrington. Dave, great to have you with us. I have not seen, is Pat Callahan here? I know he was trying, members of the state police are here, so thank you guys. Department of Community Affairs Deputy Commissioner Sam Villavatine is with us. Sam, great to have you. And pretty much the entirety of the Somerset County government leadership is here. We'll hear from her County Commissioner Director Chanel Robinson, Deputy Director Melanie Morano, Commissioner Sarah Suey, Doug Singletary, Hillsborough Zone Paul Drake, County Clerk Steve Peter, Sheriff Darren Russo. Is Tina here? I haven't seen Tina. I know Tina was trying to make it surrogate, Tina Jallo. My chair, the one and only Peg Schaefer. Peg, love you and God bless you. And I want to acknowledge there are a bunch of folks from our team, but one in particular I want to acknowledge is Dan Kelly, the big man to my left, who oversees, literally the big man, who oversees all of the emergency operations in our front office. He worked for a long time for the Attorney General. Governor Christie pulled him in for Superstorm Sandy, and by the way, we're going to be acknowledging the 10th anniversary of that next month, and Dan has stayed on, and sadly, because of events like this with expanded responsibility, so to you and your teammates, thank you. Colleen Marr is here, by the way, Mayor of Fanwood. Nice to see you, Colleen. And so with all those introductions, as Sean alluded to, and I will reiterate, this September 1st is noticeably different than exactly 1 year ago today, when you all know, but the remnants of Hurricane Ida, by then a tropical storm, slowly moved across New Jersey. And when those remnants did, they unleashed one of the most widespread and significant rain events in our state's history, generated one of the most widespread and damaging flood events in our history, and led us to suffer one of our most widespread and significant natural disasters in state history. Rain and flooding and havoc up north, tornadoes in places like Mullica Hills and other spots that touch down south. But closer to here, more than 10 inches of rain not 15 miles away in Tom's hometown in East Amwell, nearly 9 inches in Manville, just shy of 8 3/4 inches here in Hillsborough. And those are just 3 of the communities which got several weeks or even several months worth of rain in just a matter of hours. 30 of our fellow New Jerseyans were killed, including 2 precious souls here in Hillsborough, the most of any of the 9 states, by the way, that felt Ida's impact. Even a year on, we're still tallying up the dizzying costs of total damages to homes and businesses and to roads and other infrastructure. And even a year on, there are, just let this little fellow go by me there, there are still families working to rebuild their lives and their homes. To be sure, there are still many who are not fully back on their feet. I mentioned the troopers. I also want to give acknowledgement to the firefighters, first responders, all members of law enforcement who every day are heroic, but they were particularly heroic on that day. In the days following Ida, as Sean mentioned, my wife and I, either together or separately, toured some of the hardest hit communities and neighborhoods, including here. And we saw unspeakable devastation, homes washed away, neighborhood streets lined with piles and piles of ruined furniture, carpeting, and everything else that makes a house a home. Years of memories washed away literally in an instant. Yet, as the mayor also alluded to, As we saw the very worst to happen in New Jersey, we also saw the very best of New Jersey. Neighbors coming together to help each other clean up, strangers whose own homes were left untouched pitching in to help clean up a neighbor or even another community, volunteers setting up distribution sites for food and cleaning supplies, and our federal partners coming in to help families and towns begin the process of rebuilding, led by the President of the United States. Or in some cases, by the way, not just rebuilding, but making the hard, with a heavy heart, but the right call to not rebuild. Like right here in Hillsborough, where 3 properties at least, Sean, that I'm aware of, that have been impacted by repeat flooding are going to be purchased at fair market value through FEMA's mitigation funding so that they can be demolished and forever taken off the storm damage, rebuild, repeat merry-go-round. Not an easy decision to make, for sure. Over the past year, more than $650 million has been put forward to help our communities get back off the mat, including more than $250 million in FEMA direct household and individual assistance to more than 88,000 families. Think about that. More than $260 million in low-interest Small Business Administration loans and direct grants, and $56 million to municipalities like Hillsborough to help cover some of the staggering costs of cleanup and repair. This past spring, about 20 miles from here in Lambertville, another hard-hit community, by the way, we announced an additional $50 million for Blue Acres buyouts, another $30 million in FEMA hazard mitigation grant program funds to help Ida-impacted homeowners elevate their properties to protect from repeated floods, and $10 million in DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, community stormwater assistance grants to help communities statewide prepare for the next storm. And I'm not even mentioning the many hundreds of millions of dollars in damages covered through the National Flood Insurance Program. So today I am proud to announce our next steps. To begin with, we are moving forward with the process to push out about $283 million in HUD Community Development Block Grant disaster recovery funds, which New Jersey was awarded 3 months ago. We're going to put these funds to use helping homeowners restore their storm-damaged homes, to supplement rental housing costs for storm-impacted low-income rental families, provide zero-interest forgivable loans to the owners of damaged rental properties so they can make the repairs necessary to get that unit in move-in condition and back on the housing market, to support the development of resilient and affordable housing in lower flood risk areas and buy out residential properties in flood-prone areas. And we're also going to make $1 million available to provide support services, including house counseling and legal aid to Ida-impacted homeowners and renters. Developed by our great Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver and her team at the DCA, the HUD Disaster Recovery Action Plan is out, I believe, as of now for public comment, Dan. And we welcome input from Ida-impacted residents and communities on how best to spend this federal funding. And we're going to start an aggressive push through the Office of Emergency Management to work with property owners and community leaders to get New Jersey's fair share of $3 billion in newly available FEMA grant funds earmarked for homeowners and local resilience projects. Tying all of this together will be a new online resource for residents, for small businesses, nonprofit organizations, and local governments to get all the information they may need to recover from a disaster, and not just Ida, but any disaster, and to better prepare for the next one. This new site, disasterhelp.nj.gov, again, it's disasterhelp.nj.gov, will put everything in one place. It will also include an interactive Create Your Disaster Recovery Plan tool on the homepage to help you more quickly locate the programs that are best suited to help you. So while we set aside today to remember the devastation, the lives lost, and to honor the tremendous resilience of our communities and the heroism of our first responders, we are also looking to the future. And let there be no doubt, again, I want to repeat this, we're not patting ourselves in the back, we're not spiking any footballs. There are still lots of people out there who are not yet on their feet. And we know some of these programs, just the way they work, can be painful to work your way through. They take time, but I will say this, we will stay with you until you are on your feet. Floyd, Sandy, Irene, Ida, all names that New Jersey would like to forget, but they share a common thread. They each devastated our state. They each reminded us that the next storm is just a matter of when, sadly, and not if. Bless you. They each gave us a clear view into our future, that if we do not take strong and decisive steps against climate change, we will unfortunately continue to live these realities. We're not yet done putting back together what Ida tore to shreds, as I said, but today we're ready to move forward to complete the job of repairing and preparing. And together, we will get there. Thank you all again for welcoming me always so graciously to Hillsborough. With that, please help me welcome your outstanding Congressman Tom Malinowski.